close. But that's easier said than done in some ways as well.
Yeah. And folks, so I'm just going to see what's happening with the timing for the second series as well. So we're going to switch over streams now. BLW just gave us a little bit of a hiccup at the end of that last game, but it wasn't too bad. It's been treating us pretty well today. Sometimes it gets a little strange, but so basically because the games are taking place, the first series in Shanghai and the second one in Beijing, we'll just see what's happening here. It's meant to start at about 12 o'clock. Looks like the stream is coming through right now, though, and we'll get this back up here. So, we get to start talking a little bit about what can happen between JDG and FPX as well, because this is another game where FPX really get to show whether they are genuinely top-quality stock, or whether it's just Milky Way smurfing on a league and the rest of the team's trying to keep up.
Bit of that. I think Milky Way is clearly the star, and FPX in some ways are better than the sum of their parts. But I do think players are standing up to be better than I think people assumed they would be. You looked at this on paper when you were coming in, you're going, you know what, for me, I see Milky Way, I think he's a really hyper-talented jungler. I'm expecting him to come in, show some good things, but still have flaws because he's a rookie, and this team will be, you know, lower middle of the pack, and show potential, but not be able to compete really in the best of threes. That hasn't been the case, actually. They've come in and they've looked very coordinated in a lot of ways. Milky Way has been a monumental driving force that's really popularized a lot of these carries even in the LPL, and I think that's quite exciting to see. By all accounts, he's also a shot caller, which is easier said than done. I think he's coming in and is shot calling while doing things like Kindred and Diana and all these wild and wonderful picks and playstyles and making it work, which is a very unusual thing. And it's not just him. The rest of the FPX has rallied around and looks like a pretty solid, cohesive unit.
I do think that I have a lot of concerns in this series about can FPX accelerate the game to a point where Ruler and Missing don't get out on the map again. Because JDG are not a fast team, FPX are one of the fastest teams in the LPL. I think Top Esports is the fastest technically by game time, but FPX are probably the team which I've seen, you know, close out games most confidently when they actually do have a lead. So I am waiting to see whether that will be a feasible style of play, particularly because Ruler and Missing are the best laning duo in the LPL right now, and Docdam and Life, particularly Docdam, have had some issues. I think Life has had some good moments, even on stuff like the Rumble support. I think that actually he's been quite underrated as far as this team goes. I think a lot of people are just saying, oh, it's just Milky Way. Also worth noting, as you see on the screen here, Milky Way lost his first Rookie of the Split award this year so far to Sheer, JDG's top laner. So we have the two best rookies of the year apparently so far facing off against each other. I don't know whether Sheer is actually playing today, whether it's Flandre, because they were playing against one of the weaker teams a little earlier on. But it's just worth just putting that out there.
Yeah, I think it probably is. And the other thing is, for all the Milky Way has got a lot of plaudits, look who he's up against. It's not just Kanavi, it's Kanavi plus JDG, and jungling is a team game. Your ability to do things on the map is predicated by the state of your map and what your team can or cannot do as a jungler. And JDG last year were one of the absolute best about making sure Kanavi could be a real weapon for that organization. And yes, they had phenomenal laners. Knight, Ruler, and of course, you know, missing. I don't think he was like missing or on. Oh no, on was on BLG.
Keep going.
But the point being that as you can see, Kanavi, the jungler of the week here in week 6 as well. You have got one of the best teams enabling their jungler, who is one of the best junglers in the world, largely rated as the best jungler in the world for large portions of last year, and is still right up there this year. And that's what you've got to try and manage as FPX and Milky Way. This is a hell of a test.
And it is. So we get to see really now, again, a bit of a benchmark. I think we assume that, we know that BLG are the best team in the LPL. By quite a long way at this point, it feels. But it does kind of seem like back and forth, and we know that FPX have beaten Top Esports in a very close series. They're of a similar level. Where's JDG in this equation? Are they just simply better on the mechanical level? What are they like in terms of the macro? It does feel like so Yurang, he was called up this week as well for waiver. He hasn't played yet, but still, we're worth seeing. It's worth seeing exactly how JDG is playing, and actually also whether they bring their A game to this game. JDG are a team which have occasionally waited until the big games to really just pull out all the big guns. There's a reason why BLG, it felt like they were better in regular season a lot of the time compared to JDG. In summer last year, they were anyway, in the last split that we saw them, because it felt like JDG could sometimes take their foot off the accelerator and just chill for a little bit, and then they'd explode towards the end of the split and then into playoffs.
Exactly. I think that's fair to say, and I think, you know,
I think so too. That's why I said
when we saw rather teams like JDG fumble last year, it didn't happen very regularly. It often was where they did play a little slower in the early game and they kind of got snowballed on fire if they couldn't team fight their way to victory. They're not playing quite the same way this year, I think it's fair to say. But I think there's still some truth to the fact, like, if you can make sure that Ruler and Missing aren't like accelerated in the game where they get to really leverage their very domineering snowball, the game feels a lot more playable than it does in another scenario.
Yeah, the worst case scenario against JDG is you give JDG a draft where Ruler has a lot of defensive tools and the goal is trying to reach Ruler. That tends to be...
So I'm just looking at that. Is that a 2-12 win rate for Senna over the last week or so? I'm not quite sure what I'm reading the stats next. That was a new Smolder been breaking Senna that hard?
Yeah, so Smolder has won pretty much every game versus Senna. It's been pretty nasty in that regard. So I think that we've had Kaiser now start beating Smolder. That's one of the big picks.
Yeah.
But
Kaiser's ability to get onto Smolder far enough and do so much damage that he can't survive it.
Oh yeah, Senna's actually had a pretty awful week.
Yeah.
So there's 2 victories. There were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah,
2-12.
2 and 12 in the last 14 games. Yeah.
Wow,
that's insane. Considering how good Senna was doing in the LPL, that's actually insane.
Who's been picking? Has it been lower tier teams or has it been good teams?
It's been a mix of everyone. So yeah, I mean EDG played a couple of them and you're like, okay, whatever. It's a couple of lower place teams, but you can't just completely road it.
No, of course not.
But yeah, so we've got a little while until this game comes on. We'll probably have another 15 minutes until this game goes live. So we'll just be chilling here for a bit, folks. And
being chilling
on the LPL stream.
That's true, but it's such a it's become such a phrase.
Yeah, you know, there was a John Cena video recently which was like a little bit out there, where he was in an interview with a couple of people where they were talking about, oh, what's your guilty pleasure movie? What's your guilty pleasure watch? And people were like, oh, you know, like, I really enjoy, like, Finding Nemo. And it's like, no, but that's just a good movie. Yeah, it's not a guilty pleasure. And then he was like, oh, my favorite movie is Behind the Green Door. And I was like, what the fuck's that? Oh, no, just Google it. This is a pornography genre.
Yeah. I knew it! It was gonna be a porno!
Any off topic, but will LCK be live by playoffs? LCK have released a statement saying that they will be playing live games from next week, I believe.
So they think they've resolved the issue.
They haven't given a larger statement, but LCK have said that is the case. So yeah, well, hopefully we get to see that again.
Well, this is really interesting as well. You can see the teams with the name sponsors they get their full names on here.
Yeah, so it's not. So you don't have. That's a very good point, actually. Well, you don't, even then you don't have Edward Gaming. It's like Shanghai EDG Hisense.
That's what I'm saying. They're name sponsors.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it.
So like
the LNG9 bots as well.
Yeah. There's a lot of them are like banking stuff as well. So a lot of that's huge money.
I mean, like the Hawks, right, were the champions of
that's
LPL. But that's Fukuoka, but that's SoftBank.
It is, but no. Hang on. This is an important thing, right? Just because someone has it in the name does not mean that the team sees a lot of money. Particularly in the LJL, a lot of this Japanese league, a lot of the money there, it's big, like, it gives you good kind of presence, but it doesn't give you a lot of money. Whereas in the LPL, any of the sponsors you get tend to be huge fucking money. So there is a difference here.
I will say though, about my understanding, SoftBank does at least get a fair amount of access to solid like physical resources, like training venues and stuff. Like they got to go, like they've got links with T1 and stuff. So they're like, I think there is, in fairness to for that particular link, that one has some weight to even if like the money isn't as there in the same way. The access to facilities is very important.
You know what I need to... So, Angie is being very kind and drawing, like, Ari pondering her orb, but, like, in different expressions of, like, happy, confused, and then, like, angry/sad. So I can use that as a graphic to, like, either praise or flame people's Ari builds. So I need to get myself, like, a full graphic, so whenever I see a build which I'm just really upset by, or happy with, I can finally talk about it in a more structured manner, because I'm just completely scuffing it right now. Do you think FPX can win? Yes, but it has to be around a bot lane that does not interact with Ruler and Missing.
Yeah.
I think that if Ruler gets to play like a Xayah game where he's against like heavy engaged threats, he wins.
So hard.
If he gets a good Zeri game, which we've seen coming out, he wins. Now there's a chance that Dogdam goes towards Zeri, and he is a good Dogdam. He is a good Zeri player. But I feel like if this game becomes about, and we do see Flandre start, that's important. Flandre starting, not Sheer.
Okay.
So yeah, I think Flandre's been great.
I think having that experience has been quite helpful. And Flandre has often been targeted by like opponents of JDG, and he's still come back and been useful.
Yeah.
Which is a really important skill. Dyrus had to do it all those years ago. Sometimes you're just left out to dry, and your value then is, how can I still be useful despite being bled of resources?
Yeah, I'm just gonna see if I can get this text to go any bigger.
I mean, when FPX wins, I'm on that Milky Way hype. Expert scientist, you absolutely get it. The empirical research
Sam,
suggests Milky Way is just better.
Yeah, that's why today we brought ourselves, you know, our favorite brand of chocolate. We thought that we would, you know, get on the early hype train. We actually have so many packs of these. Hang on, you know what? I'm gonna go find out all the Milky Way. So you can have that.
My player bias.
Here's another one. You can hold that one too. Thank you. Hold that one too.
We saved these specifically. Can I have more?
Here's another one.
Yeah. This is a very non-biased stream. I'm running out of hands, Alex. Product placement. This is player placement. This man right here, the Milkiest Way, is insane. We're not endorsing Milky Way bars. It's Milky Way the player. You understand, guys? This is the man you will all know to love. Fake is moving over. The new go is Milky Way.
I couldn't find another one, but I have a Red Bull.
You know what? That's fine.
Got a mini one. I've got a mini Milky Way. This was like the baby Milky Way. Yeah, yay! So much Milky Way. I'm just gonna leave them here. Just leave them up like that.
This matchup is so good. Do you mind just watching the camera briefly so I can look at the numbers?
Yeah, I can do.
Thank you. So,
Leave it out there for now.
I think this is for. Is that? What's those numbers for?
That's this might be DPM.
Manager info. Oh, is this for the?
Points. This is for like this is basically like fantasy points.
Yes.
So they have like a giant like kind of like fantasy league kind of thing out there. It's very popular.
MVP 9 for Kanavi, 9 for Milky Way.
Yep.
These guys are when they're on their games are so good. It's why we're so excited about this matchup. I do think that in some ways this is going to be a very severe test for Milky Way, because he is at his best when he has some point of pressure or some way to signal the bat signal and call the troops to wherever he is to make something happen. He's been very good at those aggressive movements, and that's just so much harder if your lanes just aren't in position to do that. You don't have the chance to do it. That's why in the LDL, he basically had his mid laner with a pocket pick Galio as a serious pick you had to watch out for.
So, Scientist, that is a great question. So those of you who are on YouTube, just listening in as well, because there are a decent amount of you, and it's really, really good to see you guys today. I am actually checking YouTube chat as well if you actually do want to ask any questions. So I'm checking. I've got like chat. I've got Twitch chat here, I've got YouTube chat here, so I can see both. At
least between the
games. So Scientist is saying, you know, do you think Milky Way will be a hard study player? In terms of like, can you just study this player and shut him down? So the best game to watch for this is game 2 of their series versus BLG, where he is on Jax. He's on Jax against a team that is hard to play Jax against, and he has 3 losing lanes, and he still goes 9-3. This guy, to me, I think right now you can't hard study him. I think this is a player who has shown massive value throughout a huge amount of difficult games, and that's the big thing for me. He's been doing it not necessarily with dominant lanes, which is how you play jungle right now.
Yeah.
Has really been about how do you play around winning lanes, how do you play around that. He's been great even without them at points. So I think that this guy, given the fact that he's looked good on facilitators as well as carries, I think that his carries are better, but he's still top tier on a lot of the facilitators. I don't think you're going to be able to ban this guy out completely. I think that he'll still have an impact. And yes,
There he
Flandre
is.
is playing. And there's Milky Way there on the screen as well.
I think the other thing that's worth noting, as you kind of alluded to briefly there, is Milky Way's champion pool is just really, really big. And it's not just full of meta stuff. He's very willing and able to work on champions that are not necessarily core to the meta. Things like Diana and Jax in the jungle are a little bit wilder. He still pulls out the Kindred, which yes is seeing a little bit more popularity, but again is that little bit outside the standard wheelhouse. And those are a lot harder to have a plan in your mind for immediately because they all path and play so differently. And as Al noted as well, like yes, he is at his best when he can be aggressively signaling the troops to come invade with him to make plays happen. But he is more than capable of finding ways to be good in a game when things go wrong. I actually would suggest as well going back to look at the Nest finals where he pulls out the Kindred there, because that game looks awful. It's looking disastrous. They are 10,000 goals behind, and his Kindred just hard carries from behind. What he often defaults to when he's behind on things that can carry is just solo focus on himself, because he trusts in his ability to get enough resources and gold to carry his way out of a hole. And that's easier said than done, but what he's then quite good at is because he's very good at reading the push and pull in the jungle, saying, well, if they're here, I should be able to get some resources here. It does sometimes mean, though, that his laners can be left out to dry because he will be kind of prioritizing getting resources for himself at that point. But when you are on things like Kindred or Graves or whatever, sometimes that's just what you have to do, and the laners just have to suck it up a bit.
Thank you so it's very kind to hear the kind words, by the way. Again, folks, just like to do some housekeeping and stuff. So we've got some text at the top of the screen. We're brothers. We started casting together in 2020. You might have seen us on LEC or on LPL or elsewhere. It's really cool that we get to do this and that people enjoy our content here. So it's really fun for you guys to kind of support us during this. And yeah, just keep if there's something you enjoy here, let us know. If there's something you'd like to see us do as well, let us know. We're going to be here doing as much of this as we can. And yeah, it's actually something which I've been kind of thinking about in terms of like, what can we do for you guys rather than just, you know, we are casting the games and that's something that takes precedence. But in terms of like, you know, what would convince you to subscribe? What would convince you guys to do that? That's the thing. I do need to run ads for Twitch actually, because otherwise we're going to miss like some other stuff. But yeah, let us know what you're enjoying and whatever. There is a Discord link for my Discord below the stream. Sam has a Discord as well. It's not linked in my channel. I can set up a bot. I may as well just set it up. It does for both of us anyway.
Someone for you on my channel as well.
We're live on Twitch and YouTube right now. So this broadcast will be on Twitch VODs. It'll be on YouTube VODs. We're going to cut up the individual games and put them onto YouTube as well. So we're doing as best we can for that. And just let us know what you want to see. So you're supposed to do the stuff to make us subscribe. I didn't know. Yeah, Mecha, you're a god amongst men. So.
Mecha is my head mod. He deals with most of my shit. He's very good, but he gives me sass all the time. With that emote specifically, I get some shit throwing out these sassy little comments, judging my love of Evelyn.
Can you do your own MVP of the split for LPL? Make your own dream team out of the split? Potentially, I can. And thanks always for the high quality analysis. You have a cat called Ari?
Wait, that's cool.
Can we get a cat?
I would be down to have a cat called Ari.
I'd actually really like that. Compliment for Harold. Can we get a cat called Harold?
Harold once came over and made us some fucking phenomenal burgers.
Yeah, I have to say.
Serious shout out to Harold for coming over, like just staying and cooking for us. It was really lovely.
One of my favorite things about you, Harold, is how confidently spontaneous you are. And it's just like it takes a lot of burden off of me because I find I struggle to be spontaneous a lot of the time. So to see you, can we get a cat called War Crimes? Angie, if you'd like a cat called War Crimes. Wait, what would be the short name be?
Asmodeus is a great name for a cat
Crime.
as well.
Asmodeus. But yeah, Harold, I really appreciate how spontaneous you are, and it's really interesting to me, like how you can kind of drag people along with that, like that spontaneity, because I think that's a very powerful thing. I need to see what the volume's like on the stream actually. What did we?
Admiral Haddai as well saying, try cast with Flowers. If Flowers is down and has rights, I'm down to do that.
So on Wednesday, I think you have plans for at least maybe second series, right? If anyone knows how to get in contact with Flowers and ask if you want, wait, what series?
I don't know whether he's right. Yeah, I was debating on. Yeah. I think I'm seeing Dune 2 on Wednesday.
Actually, you know what? I might do something like I need to. You know, I guess primarily I'd like to reach out to Mazel because I haven't cast with him in a little while. But I'll see. You know what? For Wednesday, the second. a bad series, guys. It's Weibo EDG.
That'd be funny,
guys,
though.
who can I convince to cast Weibo EDG with me if this guy's out? What do I do, folks? How do I do this? Oh dear. How do I convince people to watch that with me? That's a difficult one. Insult for Angie. I bet it's easier. No, let me think about this. I've got a banger. I've got a banger here. I can feel it brewing. I feel it brewing.
Yeah. Okay. I've got one. I can get you both.
What? Sam's claiming it this time.
Angie, you will never love Alex as much as you love Monster Boys.
What does that mean? I thought it would be more of a bag to say like, oh, like the whole Ari connection and shit.
That too.
I thought that would have actually been worse. Does that count? Does that count, Angie? Would you be willing to accept that? Okay.
Harold's losing it, so I got one.
I'm sorry, I can't be the Dryder from Baldur's Gate 3. By the way, great character. By the way, if you actually just don't immediately kill him and you get into a lot of assault, really cool. Yeah.
It's very not true, but
yeah,
okay.
No,
okay.
Actually, Angie's great. That's fine. I'll sort that out later, folks. So we're getting in close to second series. We're walking out onto the stage. Probably have about 5 minutes until we get into things. Oh, a rescue kitty has a red collar and homage to the archer. That's really cool. That's really cute. That's really
great
cute.
choice.
I like that a lot. I mean, we're definitely getting cats in our future. We're definitely getting cats in our future at some point. It's just like when I feel like I've got a hold of my life, really. But yeah.
Favorite player in the LPL? For me, it's 1XN or Milky Way. In the sense they're both my LDL boys. I think they've been super cool. They've done really, really well when they've come on up.
Favorite player in the LPL? I mean, Knights, I think, is a pretty easy one for me. I love the way... Well, Pollux is the best Ahri player in the LPL. And, like, for me, that's a big thing because I love this champion. And given... Am I not enough? What are you talking about, Angie? Not just
guys, you're in public. Come on now, I don't need to hear about this.
Where do I find the OG stream? It's not on the LoL website. So if you go to live.bilibili, that'll show you it. That'll show you it, folks. So we're on Bilibili right now. You can also look at it on Huya, but you need to have an account to log in to then get the full quality of it. So we will have the full quality here, and we'll be streaming in English. So hopefully that'll make it a little easier.
I think if you're looking as another one of my favorite players, it's Kanavi. I just think this guy is bloody awesome. He is by far my favorite. He's one of my favorite junglers in the world. He's just awesome to watch. He's very exciting.
I do enjoy Abel, but also like part of the reason I enjoy Abel is because I know that even in like a stupidly winning situation, he can do stuff like he did last game and just like make the game interesting by inting.
I genuinely think it's just Leroy Jenkins' move from WoW raiding into LPL, and that this is what he does now. He's just like, right, we're gonna play this game out slow, clear, and then suddenly Leroy Jenkins, no, Abel, no! Okay. Runs into the the raid for the world ender.
Right, okay. Sat down at the desk now, so we should be getting to draft pretty soon, and we can start getting ready for this game.
Yeah, Sam's jungle main, somewhat of an Evo TB. Yeah, basically. I play some other stuff, but Eva's by far the champion I play there.
Right. Wait, Wob, how did you get your comment deleted?
What did he say?
Wob, what did you say? What did you do? Wait. Wait.
Oh, it's because it's Shank. Because Shank's
wait.
being stabbed in British slang. So
okay.
Wob got banned
okay.
for basically
alluding
to stabbing someone. That's not what it means.
hang on. Right, yeah. I was just like, what are you guys doing? But
Yeah, so for the record, to those who don't know, Shank just means to knife someone.
Wait, legit question. Are we a couple? We're brothers.
Like, bro? I'm his older brother. I did actually... You know when we first moved in?
Yeah. Oh my god. The first time we moved to Berlin, some people thought that we were a gay couple moving into Berlin.
Yeah, no, I had my one of my really good friends from Japan go like, bro, are you gay? I was like, no, that's my brother. But yeah.
No, we're brothers with very similar interests who've lived together for like 20 years.
Yeah, we worked together.
25 years. We kind of like took a break off of living together for uni and then a little while after. But yeah, we've put up with each other for a long time, so...
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So that's a funny comment, and I don't take offense to it. Like,
the frustrating thing is, yeah, it does happen occasionally.
I think so. Like, folks, I genuinely don't take offense to it. It's whatever, folks. But like, no, we're brothers. I have a partner as well, so like, yeah, and yeah. Anyway. Like, that's a thing. Anyway, we're getting closer to the game, so we'll get into this towards this now. Of course, jungle matchup is probably the one which we need to be focusing on an awful lot. Yeah. However, I also think we need to just put a couple of question marks towards the bot lane, because Ruler and Missing are so good in lane, and Dr. and Life have had some worries there. I think Dr. and Life, if they bring their A game, FPX might be able to accelerate the game well enough, particularly with a 3v2 bot side, if Kanavi isn't as connected to his bot lane as Milky Way has shown he has. This can be a good series. If that doesn't happen, though, this game is going to go very quickly in a negative direction. So,
yeah, and I think it is worth kind of putting our eyes in two locations in this kind of flow of events. We begin to prepare ourselves to draft. The camera angles, those beautiful LED walls there as well. It is all lights and camera. The showbiz is here. It was the Oscars night last night. Be in for some more glitz and glamour today on the Rift. Two of the absolute superstars of the LPL here in the jungle, and the heirs apparent to the Golden Throne last year in JDG, looking to revamp it this year around.
Karma first pick, of course, this is 14-4, so it's not necessarily the super-powered Karma of 14.2 before the nerfs came in on the patch just after that point. It is still however, a pick which Gao has used to superpower Ruler in the bot lane, and now what this potentially means as well is that you put Care on rails a little bit. He's been okay as a mid laner, but he's not been a superstar, and also opens up something like a carry for Milky Way for him to be empowered by an enchanter mid lane.
The Kindred ban was almost a must against the likes of FPX, especially because even though Kanavi, obviously famously a big-time Kindred player, it is Milky Way's preference so far, especially when they do want to prioritize things like this Varus and Talia. A lot of ability to gain lane pressure bot side and look to really wrestle with that bot lane, especially considering there have been some questions about Doc Diamond Life, particularly in lane. The Jax is locked. It is a flex.
Yeah.
You've seen Milky Way pop off on it already.
In fact, actually against BLG, he had a 9-kill game, even in a very difficult game in which his team kind of got stomped in. He had 9 kills against BLG of all teams. Jace locked in as well. Now that's interesting. So now maybe the question is, if you lock in something that counters the Jax top lane, will that be a bad matchup into something like the Jace? We've seen stuff like the Cassandre and the Udis sometimes struggle against Jace, but do well against the Jax. And also with the potential of someone like Kanavi going towards a Shinzao, that maybe locks that off the table because the Shinzao has suffered against the Jax in an individual matchup. With that in mind, they're locking in the Lee Sin, which can do well against that Jax jungle, and just going to kick him out of a fight if he comes in for a big counter-strike. And with Yagao on Talia, it means that he can also roam into the plays a lot more. Already quite intricate mid-jungle being set up. Particularly if you have the Karma Jax, it feels like the Jax is the super-powered one, which means maybe they can end up winning some of these extra fights with shields and the early pressure of the Karma. But as soon as that level 6 is hit, Talia can start roaming across the map and potentially roam down towards either this Varus or up towards the Jace, which we assume to be now in the top lane.
Exactly. It's still strictly a flex. Of course, mid lane Jace has kind of fallen away from favor, but you never want to say never, especially when people like FPX are involved.
The flex here is that you can have the Karma going between mid lane and support. If it goes support, you're likely looking at Ezreal Karma. If JDG don't want that to happen, they can ban away the Ezreal right now, and the Karma has less good bot lane pairings. But if that does happen, it means that you can flex things around a little bit more. Jace into mid or top, and then the Jax into jungle or top lane as well. I think right now that we're pretty set on this being the top side of the map, with all of these players showcasing these before.
Does feel that way, and actually
actually I say that actually no Jace top lane for Shallow, who that would be new for him.
It would be new, but it's also worth noting that on the other side, Flandre has often been a point of attack for enemy teams, and if you're getting rid of some of those tankier options that deal with the Jace better early, like the Udyr and Cassandre, which have been the premier options with that in mind, if you're looking at isolated top lanes, Shallow, who could definitely take over from there and could prove really frustrating to manage. What are you locking in here? You do strictly have counter pick to work with.
Now, you could look in something like a Renata and just say, we want to save our solo, our top lane for last pick, and it means that you do have very, very dominant bot side. Whereas Nautilus, though, is where the bot lane dominance of this Varus really took over again from some of the early split of the Lucian Nami, the Lucian Milio, and some of the Callista. In fact, Ruler and Missing brought this out against Gala and Mark when they played against LNG and absolutely totaled them. Now, last pick after the Zeri is locked in for Dogtown. We were wondering if this was going to come through. Leaves now that Jace in towards the top lane. You assume technically, I mean, the Karma could be top as well. Flandre, last pick.
Noting, of course, that once upon a time, Flandre used to play a lot of Riven in solo queue in the life. Instead, moves to the absolute opposite end of the mechanical spectrum and goes towards the Malphite, which, of course, can really make Jace's day very sad if he doesn't snowball.
Now, the problem here is you have one shot at this Zeri at the start of a team fight. Then after that point, you have to get through this very obnoxious front line of the Alistar ultimate and then maybe even the Jax popping his ult too, with everyone buffed up with Karma Shield. If you don't hit Docdam or he flashes out of something like the Malphite engage, Docdam, who is one of the better Zeri players actually of the era when it was strong, could run over this fight. We were wondering whether Docdam would head back towards one of his tried and tested classics. I think actually FPX walk away with a playable draft. Yeah. Problem is, if Jace falls behind, they're going to do nothing, because the Malphite, if you manage to get towards, particularly, you know, Barmy, Cinder, and the boots as well of the play to steel caps, can absolutely shut down that Jace lane. Jace needs to have very solid early laning phase to get ahead of that Malphite, stop Malphite getting an early first back, get a load of turret plates, and get ahead of the build. So a lot of eyes on the jungle matchup to see what can they do. Jax, Lee Sin, how are they going to fence off and spar against each other? I think particularly Kanavi would love to get in towards this top lane and shut this Jace down. It has always been the case of top lane Jace.
I want to do that. But on the other side, you've got Varus, Nautilus, you've got a Talia. Your ability to maybe try and attack the Zeri and Alistar is pretty okay. Of course, Zeri and Alistar not the easiest to dive, though, it has to be said, between Alistar's ability to throw down a lot of CC, get the ultimate up, Zeri just inherently very slippery as a champion. Are you happy to isolate that lane? Do you want to play towards what should be your strong side? But if you do that, are you leaving the Jace with potentially a Jax turning up as well in too even a position to make Flandre's life too hard? I will be interested to see what the decisions are, because I can see value in both.
Another thing here too, so we see the Aerie coming out of Malphite. This is a thing which we sometimes see against Kennen lanes, because Kennen, if he ever gets hit by the Q, can just press his E and then speed out of the Comet. Now the thing with Jace is that you can form change, put your acceleration gate down sometimes and escape the Comet, so you never get Comet value in lane. So see how much Flandre can get work done with that area. I think that's a slight micro-optimization. And again, this early laning phase from topside from Shallow, who does play a lot of duelists actually. Yeah, he's been one of the big Fiora players. He plays some of the Jax. He's played a lot of these duelists before. Let's see if he can get shut down by Flandre, who again historically has been someone who's done very well in 1v1 laning phases. And it's not really going to be about top lane for this very early game, though. There's a ward drop down on that bot side buff. Kanavi going to be E-starting and starting Raptors.
Yes, he is, and of course that has become more and more regular, that junglers do not get leashes from their lanes, but how important laning's been. Now, actually, honestly, easier it is for junglers to clear the jungle without feeling like they've lost so much health, lost so much tempo by clearing by themselves, and starting on that side, looking to path towards the bot lane where they've got hopefully some of that early pressure.
One thing too is that actually that ward that was put down at level 1 was swept out by JDG. So they actually end up clearing that ward very early on, which means that Kanavi will have a little bit more room to maneuver in regards to some of these surprise ganks. And again, we need to really see what happens in this top lane. I think bot lane, because it's Alistar versus Nautilus, you can have 2v2 kills, and I expect Ruler and Missing to put pressure down there. But it's not the level 2v2 fist fight that we see from like the Callistas and the Lucians of the world.
Jax starting on this bot side, soloed out the red buff, now heading up towards his Raptors. Mirrored jungle pathing, heading in those opposite directions. Looking like flash for the headbutt, flash away from Missing into the hook. Missing just doesn't live up to his namesake and hits that one like a bullseye. Will still be a trade of summoners even enough.
He hits a bullseye on the bull's eye, just hits him in the face. And that was a fantastic flash away. Again, we said that this 2v2 is not really the kill lane of the Callistas or your Dravens, but these players make it work.
Oh, that hook is so fantastic. And life just steps beyond and leaves Doctor out to dry just a little bit there.
So this is why in the preview to this series, I said, hey, okay, so you have Milky Way, fantastic player of the game, maybe best jungler in the LPL right now. There's a question mark about that. I think he's definitely put his name onto the equation there. But FPX, I am worried about what happens in this 2v2. Life has looked good on some of the more magey support, stuff like the Rumble as well, was even banned away in the second round of this first draft. And Ruler and Missing, particularly on stuff like the Varus Nautilus, have been absolutely destructive in early laning phase. How quickly can FPX accelerate this game before this bot lane becomes untenable? Kanavi comes down, level 3 to level 2. How much XP can he get?
They're actually doing quite a lot of work. So much damage from Missing, who does get healed. The damage from the arrow is huge. Missing will die in trade to 1-for-1 right now. Doctor still has the Spark Surge to get over the wall. Flash from the arrow. The Kanavi now trying to get some damage out. Still has Flash. Should still get the kill and get on out. 2-for-1. Dive successful. JDG pull off the aggressive dive bot. And you called it out in the pre-game. What happens if Ruler gets snowballed?
Okay, so Milky Way does have a chance to then make a cross map towards top side. It's a fairly high HP Malphite, but he has no item stun lands.
And the flash doesn't really amount to all that much. Milky Way will need to flash, will die for the trade, but does get the kill.
I think that's a mistake here. I think that giving the gold over to Milky Way instead of Shallow, who completely tips this matchup. Flandre can teleport in with the wave not crashed under turret and get huge items. Care's left out to dry. He's going to get killed here. Kanavi still has flash.
Missing gets the Hex Slash in as well on the reset from his death. They get another kill. That's a kill in every lane effectively for JDG. Already the snowball begins. Kanavi 3-0 on the Lee Sin.
3-0, and in this jungle matchup, which we have highlighted so much, Kanavi strikes first and strikes in this bot lane, which we said, look, this is going to be a huge issue if it feels like Ruler and Missing can get ahead of the game. So destructive when they're ahead. The best laning bot lane in the LPL currently. And Docdown blows both of his summoners and doesn't even save his own life. I just wonder if he should have just died with peace at that point.
Maybe he should. Either way, it's now 1,000 gold lead to JDG. They've gotten a kill on Milky Way, a kill on Docdown, and that feels like at least something of a consolation prize, but how much
But this is the thing, right? Because I really want to return to this point topside. Unless you get a huge early lead on Jace, which you can do if you're left alone. It feels like Jace just gets outvalued by the Malphite, and he stacks up armor, he maxes up his W. In this game, you very much max the W as well at some point into your mid game, especially against multiple auto attackers and things get nasty. But Yagao might have to flash, but he still gets rooted.
And now the flash counter strike with the leap strike, and it's just a wonderful kill onto Yagao. And now Kanavi in a dangerous position, but the extended follow-up range of the Jax just too far.
Disrespectful from Yagao. You just got to get the hell out of dodge as soon as Milky Way goes forward. Maybe worried that there would have been a flash follow from Care, but all the same, Yagao goes down, and that's important because, again, it feels like, particularly with Flandre getting that kill, trading for Milky Way, this Malphite will be a huge issue. The fact that Shallow didn't get that kill gold means that Flandre is ahead in comparison to where the Jace is in this lane.
Milky Way gets 2 grubs, but now feels like it has to back away as Kanavi's coming on over. Yagao back in lane means there is just this mismatch. Grub will reset. Docdown gets away from the hook. Life goes over. Down has come Care, and that's put Ruler in a difficult position. Nowhere really to go. Gets rooted. Flashes on forward. Does not get the kill. Zeri gets that one, and Ruler burns the summoner as well. Important play in the bot side.
So that's something back. Care getting onto the map. It's not even the junglers doing this. It's not going to lead to anything more at this point. Docdown now with 2 kills behind in CS, and you have to, understand that, Ruler being on the poke, Varus can really start, again, forcing Docdown into awkward situations. Flandre at low HP, Kanavi on top side, but on vision. That's why Shallow, who's not necessarily going too hard. Ult comes in, here's Milky Way.
Oh, Flandre gets baited, outsmarted. The counter-strike is there. Kanavi takes the cube back. I don't think he's getting anything more.
We'll see if Yagao ults over. Yagao, is he going to go ult straight in? He is going. He's following it. How much can he do here? He's caught Shallow under the turret.
Shallow in a difficult position, but the wall now down. Shallow trying to play this one out, just clear most of the wave. I think he gets to back away. How close is Kanavi to 6?
We'll have to see. It's pretty close from the looks of it, as Milky Way has 6 right now. Shallow, he is saved by his support roaming up. Care, bot lane, straight up to top lane as well. He's been on the roam despite not having the global himself. I love that we are getting a fast-paced early game. For me, this matchup was always about how quickly can an FPX accelerate the game before JDG's carries come online. And considering how those first kills went, I thought, okay, the top lane trade, I felt like that favored JDG, and the bot lane, of course, favored JDG. The slapback is immediate, and it keeps the timer ticking a little longer for FPX.
The fact that Jax has all of these early kills when you've got triple engage melee players on JDG, great flash from Shallow, but I'm just saying, if this keeps happening, Milky Way can keep doing this.
And so Xiaolahu, first Jace game of the split, gets himself a decent play on that top side. He's not got the individual gold from either of these players top side. That's on Milky Way, so feels like Milky Way is the one that's going to have to take up the carry of the burden of carrying once more. He's done that with real grace this split. It feels like he has really been so reliable. For Xiaolahu, I am worried for how useful he will be. Doesn't have a CS lead. He hasn't got any plates on top side. Steel caps have been hit from Flandre, getting to the point where Malphite can just ignore the Jace.
At least for a little while, you're kind of waiting at that point on the 3-item mark when the armor penetration comes on through, and Jace kind of has his revival in the game, especially if it doesn't snowball. The late game scalings on Jace now feel a lot more deadly than they did seasons ago. Milky Way back into mid lane. Kanavi not spotted, but going towards this bot side. Does that leave your Gao out to dry? Who's still got no flash?
There is the chance of Care Flash Wing and maybe looking for a slow into it. You can see that he's going forward right now. Hits him with the mantra. Milky Way does a lot of damage right now, by the way. He's got himself up to decent components. Not on his full Triforce just yet. I wonder if we could be seeing another reprisal of Milky Way's Jax like you saw against BLG, and he just starts getting into all of these fights. Dragon goes down to the side of JDG. Grubs, of course, 2 for 1 to the side of FPX right now. Typically, when you see a Lee Sin, they often hop over the wall, especially on red side. They hop over the wall and they get one of them knocked down. Skips away from that hook all the same. Yeah, the Lee Sin can steal away one just to stop potential 6 stacks coming through from the second spawn. Yet again, first item hit from Kanavi. Has that Sundered Sky, can be a little bit more bruisery. It's not going to be that helpful once you get to 2-3 items on Nazarius. Dogdam just playing with fire here.
In fairness to FPX bot lane, with the exception of the dive that went a little awry, they have managed this bot lane pretty okay. They're down the CS, but that was kind of expected after the early pressure went against them. The Zeri's online, got 2 kills, that's keeping the gold even enough with Ruler, and a Zeri that's free scaling alongside of Varus feels pretty okay.
It does. I mean, the CS lead that we had from early game is basically held even. What that means is that Dogdam hasn't lost any more than they were from that first couple of levels of the game. That is good for FPX, especially with the kill gold available to you. Once you get to Shiv on the Zeri, it feels like Shiv is being built on a lot more AD carries now. Just allows you a lot of early game presence and accelerates you through to 2 to 3 items as well. Just really feels like that Zeri can get to that dangerous point where they hit critical mass a little later again. JDG's combo, very potent if you hit it, and it's very easy to hit it if you've blown all the flashes. How likely is that going to happen? How likely is that you're going to blow those summoners, though, to set up for that play? Milky Way is on vision, which means that JDG won't push up too far. Important for them. JDG at this time just taking away some of the grubs and denying FPX getting even 5 if they were to take all 3.
Don't get me wrong, it's high gauge, but it is a shotgun comp. You blow your one ultimate kind of engage combo, and if it goes wrong, the likes of a Jax who's suddenly got a Malphite that's ulted in, a Nautilus that's hooked in, a Lee Sin that's hooked in, you can start turning it around.
So grubs are gone for free. Worth noting that it really felt like JDG had good information on where Milky Way was. Milky Way has Flash again, has Triforce. I think Milky Way in the next fight of the game is going to do some absolutely monstrous damage. JDG, they're aware of that. They're not giving the easy fight. JDG, if I were to sum up their playstyle this year, is that they don't make that many errors. They try to get on top lane.
There's still no flash quite yet for Chala, who's just saying, look, I'm dead. I'll clear out the way best I can. Dies. Kanavi turns up topside. This time, Milky Way's not there. And you can see what Chala was doing. It's like, he needed that wave in so he could finally reset. That was Eclipse Gold. You know why he's there. Yeah. But that's sometimes the top lane risk. You've got to take those shoves happen or you're doomed.
And you can't even take the hard trade for hard trade because Flandre has teleport. He's holding on to his teleport. He doesn't get the kill in that case, but he's going to get himself a plate. This top lane matchup, which we were worried about, remember, this Jace was locked in very early, this is starting to fall apart. Flandre is going to get a huge amount of gold from this and be so far ahead of Xiaolahu. He's almost a full level over the Jace. It's about half a level right now, I'd imagine. And it feels like Flandre will be such an issue in the individual lane. I think in team fights there are ways to deal with him. Zeri has good mixed damage and Karma can kind of buff up the target that's initiated onto as well. I don't think this Malphite will necessarily have the easiest time, especially if Dogdam is standing at the correct kind of range as well. The Flandre goes back, gets himself a full Sunfire cape. He is very ready to start making this Jace's life hell in the individual matchup.
100 gold lead to a Malphite in a Jace lane feels pretty bad. Of course, if Xiaolahu gets time to play alone in lanes, claim some gold back himself, will still be able to be a problem in the side lanes, and actually a little bit of poke is no bad thing into some of the squishier members of the back line, but the fact that Flandre kind of just gets to ult on cooldown and Xiaolahu just kind of has to suck it up feels really bad as Kanavi. He claimed 4 of the 5 kills himself, both junglers really being the ones who have been the recipients of all the early gold. towards the bot lane. We pan, the camera highlighting us from up in the heavens here. As we throw down some words of wisdom to all of you. We have got a brief moment of calm before Dragon spawning in a minute or so. Milky Way's taking this opportunity to look top left.
So he's looking just to see if he can buy himself a wave crash, maybe get into the enemy jungle to get himself ahead of the game as well. He's a little bit behind the jungle farm. But this is the thing, right? JDG, they've actually been a very organized team. They've not necessarily been very fast-paced compared to a top esports or, of course, FPX. But they have been a team which stays the course very well. They don't tend to kind of like... play these undisciplined fights where they just randomly give up kills. Typically, they've been very good at keeping themselves and their summoners very, very close to their chest and then waiting for that one big fight. It actually reminds me a lot of how JDG used to play when they had Yagao before 2023, when they were playing with the 2022 era and before. Of course, you know, you've got a number of these players who are now 3-peat champions, clearing out the way, but no tower aggro.
Andre tries to go for the all-in, does get a fair chunk, but can't get anything more. Milky Way was around, so I think anything more from Flandre would have been a mistake. So the ultimate's actually down prior towards the dragon spawning, but Milky Way saying, look, we're not in a position to fight. The wave shoved in bot, let's just claim Herald. Shallowwho's resetting anyway.
I don't think that FPX were in position to fight around bot side because JDG have themselves bot side vision control. So there's going to be a trade of Dragon for Herald, Chemtech going down for JDG. We'll get to see what our rift is, and it is a Mountain Soul. So it's going to be Mountain Soul. I know you can't always see that logo up in the top left, but that's the one that we've got here. That is very, very important. If Malphite starts getting this Mountain Soul, if you have the Nautilus and the Lee Sin getting a little bit tankier as well, it's going to be that more brazen when they're looking for the engage. Those individual dragons doing an awful lot. First items now being hit across the board though. Shiv, very important for Zeri. Helps you with your kind of stacking up of Chain Lightning between your ultimate and then also the Shiv as you go into these first team fights. Particularly when you get stuff like that Yomu's as well for Ruler. Makes it that much harder for someone like Jax to get in range of him as well. Ruler very good at his positioning as one of his, he's one of the best AD carries of all time. Kind of sitting in the pocket as an AD carry and making the most of it.
Here's the plan, of course, with the Malignance in as well. Actually, the wave clear from FPX gets that much cleaner as well with the Shiv and the Malignance. Just to be able to cycle through more Mantra Qs from Karma, you're able to get just more kind of AoE auto damage down onto the waves as Zeri. And when you've kind of been, particularly in that bot lane, you're cold under tower a bit. Yes, you've survived a lane which looked pretty dicey after some of the early plays from JDG. You can now start to get a little bit more control of the game, feels like, it potentially Doctor.
Shallowwho, got to be aware that Flandre has ult again now. You can see that there is some shallow vision that's just come in from JDG, from FPX rather, onto the top side of the map. Considering how badly the early game went in terms of trading 1-for-1, giving Flandre a bit more gold, and then of course Shallowwho dying a little later. They've done okay in this side lane matchup. Kerr gets caught by a combo. Is that realistically going to get more? Yes, it is. Good damage.
Here, but it's just too late. Nearly a nice kind of response from FPX to be in the right kind of space, but the combo was just too fast. It was just too much damage.
The other thing is, Milky Way and Life, they show on that play as well, which means that now JDG know there is no counterplay. Flandre is ulted top lane. You can see that Shallowwho is on very low HP comparative, so Flandre says, okay, well, there's no one going to punish me from not having this ult up. I don't have teleport to influence the rest of the map. Flandre doing well to just making sure that Shallowwho doesn't get maximum value out of this isolated lane, and Yagao will take first turret of the game in bot side and get himself ahead of the curve.
Momentary lapse there from FPX, who weren't quite fast enough to defend the play that they knew was likely coming. You can see by the response from Milky Way and Life. We'll see it here. They are on their way. They're on the screen even. Milky Way is waiting and just not fast enough.
I think that when you've got Milky Way with this huge item power spike and flash, you just hope that he can be the defining factor of that next fight. You're maybe just trying to, we were saying this earlier, had the Oscars last night. We're trying to have ourselves some award-winning performances potentially and use that body language debate in a fight. FPX, problem for them now, game slowed down. And they are a team which likes to play fast. They have item break points as well. Feels like by the game slowing down, you're buying time for Ruler to get a chokehold on the map, for Yagao to get himself in for an ultimate position. That's what they're doing. Shallowwho, he's going to flash over the wall. Again, this is a problem. FPX, they don't really want to be playing to the beat of JDG's drum, and yet they are.
Shallowwho is once again in this position where, oh my days, phenomenal Kanavi just steps in and kicks Zeri into the dirt.
Oh, who's been talking smack about Kanavi? He comes in on his Lee Sin 6-0. He is not taking any prisoners this game. Doctor, we talked some good stuff about his Zeri, but we said that occasionally he's had some awkward moments. And Doctor, why the hell is he recalling that? Big moment here from JDG. Punishes one moment. You can see that now Shallow, with that flash on top side, he can't even walk up towards the top tower. JDG, big moment for them to control this top side of the map.
Shallow, who was about to say, the man has been trying to clear out waves best he can, but you just looked at the blue side control from JDG. The man saw nothing and was so trepidatious in stepping up to the lane and immediately gets jumped on, and then they go back towards the mid lane, and JDG in this mid game needs to pop off a little bit. Ruler does need to be a little afraid. Is he going to have to flash? No, gets to walk away.
Yeah, I think he ended up popping the Youmu's to get into that position. Might have ran out just towards the end of that play, but good discipline from Ruler to survive. We've seen Ruler die in that spot a couple of times. What happens here? He's on a ward. He doesn't even need to get himself a good ward hop placement. Kanavi goes the full distance, absolutely slams Doctam into the dirt.
Doctam was next to a wall even. He thought he was going to be okay. Yeah. He really did, but the ward
being
in lane and unknown caused so much trouble.
We have a lot of course, previous LCK players and, of course, some LCK champions in here as well. Hello there, Ruler. But, you know, back in the day, some people might not remember this. Does anyone out there as part of the OGN Legion watching the early seasons of Korean League of Legends? There was a term which was, it's kind of fallen to the annals of time, the annals of history, or the OGN recall, where Korean players were really, really good, but they'd also just randomly recall in stupid spots and die for it. I feel like we still have a little bit of that in some of our now LCK players.
Oh boy, the thing is, it's not the worst recall position I've ever seen. You know what I mean? There was some thought process to it.
We've got ourselves a dragon spawning as well. Probably more important things to talk about. Now, JDG, they have a lot of flashes available. Importantly, not on Kanavi. Now you look at the side of the carries from FPX. Shallow, who importantly, no flash. Doctam, though, if he ends up escaping the engage, I think he can run over the back end of this fight. So all eyes on Doctam. He did keep his summoners from the last play.
We're at level 11 as well. Kanavi at 12. The second ranks, there's ultimates could prove very valuable indeed. Missing. Hunting for a hook, yet to land one. Pretty close so far. Flandre will take the opportunity to step forward. Actually, may have gone a bit deep, but doesn't take all that much damage as yet. Another hook goes wide. That's Life's Aftershock, I believe, down.
It's a fairly long cooldown nowadays. Of course, Aftershock, pretty long cooldown itself. Baron has spawned on the top side of the map if a fight goes badly enough. That might be part of the prize as well. FPX, they have flashes. They have themselves damage, and they catch up Flandre.
Again, he takes a big chunk. Not down. Flashes over the wall. Hook on the other side of the care to little avail. No one really able to follow up, and it's FPX with position, but Flandre has teleport.
So Flandre is not going to use his ultimate because he knows that's his combat advantage. He's going back. He's going to teleport probably onto one of these pink wards here, but is the dragon going to be gone by the time he's here?
Flash in from Life is flashed away from Ruler. Down to 2,000 HP as a Dragon. Kanavi into the backside. Does not get that much value. Dragon take it.
Goes Flandre.
Flandre into the backside. Huge unstoppable force. But Doctam is alive. Look at how much damage he can do. And FPX do get out. Yagao flashes forward. Gets a seismic shove. Ruler can start to do something back. This arrow could prove deadly until the shield comes on through. Karma's defiance. Enough to keep Zeri out of danger.
So, Dragon for one, it looks like overall. I think that was the grand total. The grand tally of that fight. Yes. So, Doctam not able to get the fight which he wanted. Also, summoners, importantly, away from multiple members on FPX. Feels like JDG, next time they square up, it will be much harder for them to pull that off again. They walk away with the objective. They stop that Mountain Dragon in terms of the stats going over, and of course, also the soul point alongside it. Close run things. We are not really that much closer to determining the outcome of this game. Yagao kind of zones off care from the rest of it. Life just tries to buy some time and stop there being a clean Lee Sin Q onto the dragon and stuff like that. It gets a little bit dangerous for a while. See that Flandre doesn't end up hitting Doctam. Importantly, it means that he can kind of start turning and burning. He doesn't quite have the items just yet, though, to take over the fight from that kind of position. He backsteps out, cleanses away, maybe thinks he can get a bit more damage onto Yagao. Just about misjudges that one. Does walk away with his life.
He can't try and dash away, of course, with the Spark Surge, because the Unraveled Earth's behind him, so you would stun yourself. So that's the only real way is forwards briefly there.
Well, he ends up like dashing forward and then cleansing anyway. So he ends up going through it all the same. He just says like, the only way through it, I'm going to try and get myself some kills with it. He does get 2 items now, though. Ruler didn't quite... Oh!
Wait, there's people here! The shield! He's gone too deep! Kanavi's going to be in trouble. He burned the flash for this one. Remember, no one else has got a bloody flash in the game! Kanavi misses his Q, but still just about alive. Doctam! Not quite dead! He get down to sub 5 HP. Everyone's alive!
Oh my God.
You
know, it's often said if you swing at the king, you best not miss. You can't do that against a ruler either. Very, very nearly takes the head off of Doctam's shoulders, even though the cavalry comes in to support him as he escapes Kanavi. What does this mean, though? You've got a couple of recalls coming in from FPX. I don't think JDG have the Baron damage to really take down that one in quick order. It's not like you have yourself you know, an on-hit Rage Blade. Varus, it's the poke one. God damn, things are getting close, though. I think a lot of this is based around the vision control which JDG have. You can see just shallow vision around mid lane. This is something that JDG have done better than almost any team in the world this year. And they once again just try and use that ward hop in the middle of the lane. It allows Kanavi to taxi his way over for a very, very clean kick. Dogdam does get himself with the shield over to a wall. He's so close to trading things back. Can't quite end up getting a kill either way.
From Ruler that keeps the jungler alive, and the turnaround damage was nearly more than enough to get Dogdam. In the end, it wasn't quite enough. Missing. Gets missed with the Ultra Shock laser. Vision control now, the name of the game is Shallow, who once again on weak side of this case, desperately trying to play reasonably with a lack of vision control.
He's trying his absolute best. As you can see the poke Varus, making sure that Dogdam doesn't have the HP to fight. He does have the items to do a hell of a lot of work right now. You can see that Shallow, who is also adding in some extra wave clear. I think that picture-in-picture briefly showed us a flash being blown from Shallow, who as he doesn't quite have that one right now. JDG, they have themselves hooks, they have themselves a Malphite ultimate, and they have themselves a bit of Fog of War to work around as well. Not completely, FPX have got some in there. If one combo lands onto the flashless Jace or the Zeri though, gotta feel like JDG walk away with a win. What can FPX do to stop that from happening and make sure that the fight wins one before that? Varus ult misses.
This mid lane contest, both turrets still standing, is huge, and FPX down about 1,500 gold, but they've got no turrets yet. They've not been able to get access, and the problem is actually on the side of JDG, you look at this and you go, we've gone for this big shotgun comp, we've gone for the Lee Sin, and yes, the Lee Sin snowball, but Zeri, Jax, Jace, free scaling gets a bit scary.
It does. You do have a bit of an assassination potential from Kanavi though, who's spotted out on that ward, and he will hit a Q over. He's going to follow it. No, he won't, but the hook lands missing, going very low.
And Life in turn pops his own ultimate, the Unbreakable Will. Does enough to keep the cow from being thrown on a barbecue.
A plaintive moo comes across as you talk about him as a foodstuff. Dogdam with the Shiv and the Hurricane, great wave control. This is a big thing. JDG, normally with the Varus, you expect yourself to be able to have lots of mid lane control. Zeri clears waves so quickly with his item builder. It's very hard to have that for any extended period of time. It means that FPX, they can kind of like waits for JDG to push the wave first, but then immediately respond and then returns to the objective after that point. Dogdam at 3 and 2 has a decent amount of golden pockets, actually ahead of Ruler individually. He is ready to start shooting, and this is the kind of match I want to see. I didn't want this to be a blowout. I wanted this to be a close affair. See how tense it's getting. Both of them fighting over mid lane prio. I think JDG are making a bit of a mistake with this, though. This area will just keep clearing for forever with the Jace. I don't think they're getting that much out of this.
Kanavi now trying to find a way under. They down to hook onto Milky Way, who just throws out a counter-strike. Little avail to be found with that one, and Dogdam still fine, still over a wall, still the ability to find those angles in. The Ultra Shot lasers over those walls, remember, empowered when they come over that way. Dragon started by JDG. The last one went the way of FPX, but they're the ones we control right now.
Okay, JDG, they do buy themselves initially enough entry into this river. Do they lose this tower? Again, look how quickly the waves get pushed from FPX. This is why we're seeing Shiv and Hurricane on the Zeri. That item builds allow them to do this. They find themselves a pick onto Missing, who has Flash. Can we see a flashback from Flandre? He is in such good position to potentially force out a fight.
Stop the easy recalls, puts their waves in the awkward position, but look at JDG's side lanes, both shoving in, so FPX can't spend forever doing this, so they will take the mid lane tier 1, their first turret of the game, but it comes at a hefty cost. That is mounting soul point for JDG.
So I think FPS, this time I think they're happy for the trade, because you get yourself that mid lane out of turret, and that'll make it harder for JDG to put down the same wards they've been using to get good angles for Kanavi or Missing on the flank to, you know, get onto Dogdam in the mid lane. It's going to be harder to do that now. Look at all these wards in the mid lane on the minimap, just cast your eyes down there. Those blue wards used to be red. That was where JDG was holding that kind of information warfare battle. FPX have fought back in it. I think it's great to see that FPX have not only been a snowbally team that can accelerate the pace of the game, but actually in a situation like this too, can slow things down and play things out in a more measured way. JDG, they typically run this style of game. They're very good at being disciplined. They don't throw things at you. They don't overcommit to fights very often. You can see in that last fight, you know, Yagao throws out an ultimate, doesn't lead to that much. I don't think his ultimate been that great, but at least he's not overcommitting on them or forcing his team to overcommit onto them as well. Gold lead effectively non-existent, and we are going to get ourselves two of our top teams in the LPL showing off in late game team fights to see who can come out on top in game 1.
Mortal Shield Bow is in for Dockdown now as well. That much harder to get a hold of his Flash and Cleanse. His area at this point in the game, unbelievably slippery. There's a Karma and an Alistair to try and buy space. Hell, even Milky Way on this Jax. You overdive. His ability to counter-engage is not to be dissuaded. Third item complete from Shallow, who has kind of been the kind of unfortunate sacrifice to the way FPX had to play out the early game. He's now online as well.
Worth noting that the Cyrilda's not getting great value right now. You don't have any other lethality to boost up that item. It's another ult from Yagao, and Dockdown is punted back. It has to dodge away from the hook. Here comes Live.
Oh, that is a phenomenal flash headbutt to get Yagao down. Life, take your hat off, brings death to JDG's mid laner. Missing, flashing away. The Nautilus still punctured. His suit no longer safe to be under the water. Flandre now being brought down as well, and the mountain is felled, tunneled through, and FPX make it look like Deep Rock Galactic.
Oh my gosh, rock and stone. That Flandre Malphite can't get himself the entry he wants. He's not there for the initial part of the fight, and FPX are rewarded for playing a little bit more slow than they usually do. Ruler looking to maybe get himself into a position to poke out that someone on the Baron and look for a steal with Kanavi, but they can't walk over. Not with Dockdown, the ability to wall surf over and get himself a flash. Maybe into the play. FPX, they survive the early game. They survive the mid game, and they walk away with a 1 fight and the Baron. They are here to play.
What inspiring stuff. FPX do not lose here right now. They managed to do so well in life. This is phenomenal.
That is top draw. I know a lot of the conversation around FPX has been about Milky Way, as it should be, but Life has had a couple of excellent games. His Rumble support, some of his mages have been what I've focused on, but this Alistair makes the game-changing play here. If they walk away with a victory in this game 1, you have to thank Life for it. He's where this all starts.
And we had serious concerns about Dockdown and Life as a duo, perhaps more so than sometimes them individually.
Yeah, I think that anyone who watched Dockdown's Ezreal, yeah.
It was almost like the damage was there, but some of those shifts were a little aggro. There was a bit of Abel going on, shall we say.
Now we have ourselves a minute until the next dragon. Baron buff will tide FPX over to this. Problem is, JDG used all of their flashes in that last play. They haven't got the flashes away from the carries they need to, and this is a late game Zeri now. Dockdown is a big Zeri player, has been in the past. Almost at that Lord, exactly, and he's now almost got himself to Lord Dominic's regards. I think FPX have actually overcome JDG at this point. It's going to be so difficult for JDG to find the kills onto the carries. Now it's JDG the ones with the real onus of, of being able to weather the storm and look for that one opportunity. I think they're in a losing position now.
Got no teleport on Flandre either, so yes, you've got a couple wards down in the river right now for JDG, but they're not very useful. You can throw Yagao down there, but we've already seen he is very vulnerable. He's 0-2-1. He's just not been involved in the game.
Can I just say how excited I am for this? Because FPX are a team which I thought would be bottom 4 in the LPL, or around that. They'd be in the they wouldn't be making playoffs. They wouldn't really they'd be bottom end of mid-table. And then they win a couple of games and think, okay, well, they'll be mid-table. Well, then they beat top esports. You think, oh, shit, this team's good. They know how to play the game fast, and now playing here as well against the 3-peat LPL titles, with Coach Maffa coming in from Gen G of last year, the 3-peat LCK champion, and they're showing them how to play mid-game. FPX's macro has been so good, and here comes Life again.
Does not get onto as valuable a target this time. It's just Flandre. He will headbutt the Malphite away, who now needs to ult out to safety. Life uses his own ultimate, but they do win out in terms of the HP bar trades at the very least.
Missing, Hex flashing forward, but FPX, they don't even blow that much for it. They blow the Alistair ult. That's about it. But Flandre not having his ult on the Malphite. See how difficult that is. I mean, how do you fight? The problem with it is about the Malphite. When Malphite ults a flashless target, it looks so non-counter playable. But because it's so much about these big fights, it's really just about gets away with that. Isn't punished for that one. If Flandre has no flash himself and he's going on to flash full targets, what do you do as this champion? You need to be forcing fights to the point where they don't have the summoners to outplay in the big fight. And Flandre's does not have that kind of angle. And without that Malphite being able to go forward with impunity, without missing, be able to get typically onto the backline and get in range for a Nautilus ultimate, this game looks so difficult. And now with 2 Mountain Dragons to the side of FPX and no soul from the side of JDG, the combat stats from FPX are starting to rack up as well.
These were the heroes of LPL's yesteryear. Those champions written in the stars. They were the mythological heroes on that golden road, but what is a constellation to the whole damn galaxy? Milky Way and FPX are here to show they are not some middle-of-the-pack flash in the pan. They are right up there with the halcyon gods of the LPL life. A dangerous position, maybe, oh maybe, I've just cast a Kirsten. You throw some pretty words out and immediately a man dies.
It's so often we say life finds a way, but it's JDG that find life instead. The cow goes down. They don't blow his ult or his flash though, so what this does, it stops the push. It's a pressure release for JDG. They don't use that much. They use ultimates, but they don't use flashes. That's important. I think JDG at this point, they need to try and focus on blowing summoners and keeping their own for as long as possible. But it is something. FPX, they won't be able to get as much off of this last push now. Yugao's going to turn up into a side lane, and now we get really into the smoke and mirrors, into the late game macro. FPX have backdoored some of the best teams in the LPL recently. Their late game macro has been arguably the best in the whole of the LPL. They did lose pretty heavily in macro in terms of their match against BLG, but JDG, they are a team which will be another threat even yet. I love this now. We are into late game. FPX do have a lead, but JDG feels like they do have some tools to at least make FPX sweat a little before they can close it out.
They do. They teleport in. Doctam flashes out. They try to get cut over. It's a good headbutt away. They don't get him over the wall. Doctam trying to survive. Finally gets to throw down the lightning crash. Does not die quite yet. Survives. Doctam continues to free fire. The burst fire goes full auto. And FPX win out. Life with another clutch save.
Oh, but the power of the stars and life itself. JDG are on the retreat. They swing for Doctam and they just about miss. He's bleeding out, but he gets it. Brought back up to his feet by his teammates. JDG, I think they might just be losing game one.
They're on the march on in. Olympus is falling, and look who's here to take over the thrones. FPX. They've got themselves a game one. There's still a lot of series to go. There's still more of this tale to be done. But FPX have decided they are here not just to play, but to win.
And now, we get to see how JDG can pick up the broken pieces again. Kanavi, he's found it really hard to get clean plays onto the backline. It's so hard to get to the carries, but behind the Jax, behind the Alistair. Flandre forces the flash. Kanavi tries to get past life, but goes just a little too close to the Raging Bull. And even with the Assassin build, can't finish him off. Milky Way was even willing to give his life there and try and body block for him. He even stays alive. And with the Karma giving a little bit of extra HP beyond that too, with the Crypto Bloom. Well, like that name is going to forever haunt me. FPX win out that fight by the slimmest of margins. Now, JDG, what do? Again, you don't have summoners now. On the other side, though, no flash on Doctam, no flash on Milky Way. What can you do? Here comes Missing.
Trying to get in. That's a fairly decent knock-up into the backline. Kanavi goes again, but still cannot deal with Doctam as Shaola, who goes into the backside as well. Jace here to play. The hammer comes crashing on down, and to the skies goes FPX's chance to win the game. They're teleporting in. Care is there, and Ruler just cannot be careful enough. Ruler loses his crown. FPX win game one.
So often in the LPL, bot lane difference is measured with a ruler. FPX snap it in half and throw it on the ground. It's Milky Way, it's life, it's Doctam, it's fun plus Phoenix taking game one.
What year is it? FPX looking like an incredible team. It's not a DoMV team. It is not the same style of inventiveness they had then, but it's still a little innovative. It's still with the kind of flair and passion that earned this team so many fans over the years. And JDG, last year's heroes, last year's supposed world champions. They were supposed to be
the golden road,
to be beyond any other team in history. To have that incredible year, this year in FPX, just take game one. It feels good. It's not the series. Let's not perhaps get as hyperbolic as I have been. Hyperbolic. That's the way that one works. But we are here. It's exciting. And I am so ready for some more.
I was so worried this game would not deliver. FPX versus BLG, I thought it was a good series, but it was all too quick. BLG smashed out the early game and they just ran them through with macro. This game, FPX, this has everything for them. Because they have been the fast team. They have closed out games well. But then they come up against JDG. They lose early game, but they hold on in a way that we haven't had to see them do so much. They did it versus Top Esports and they had a backdoor victory. This one they won through brute force team fighting. That really doesn't happen that often versus JDG, and we walk away with a fantastic game one. And thank you everyone once again for tuning in. We're brothers. I'm Nymaera. You might know me from LPL when I'm casting on there proper. This guy's my brother. We've been casting together for 4 years. We started casting together, and we like to continue it out here as we can, as we live together in Berlin. And we're going to be very much enjoying this game too. I need a drink.